Hi, I'm Kath. Welcome to my channel. So we are the Physio Geek because I am a recently qualified physio and I am a big nerd, so it made sense. Now, what I want to talk about today, we'll start at the very beginning. You've had a look and thought, right, physiotherapy sounds like a great career. I really want to look into this. I want to see what I can do, what this career involves. But you're not quite sure how to get into it and what you need to do to become a physiotherapist. Now, I will be talking about the UK because that's what I've gone through. I've just gone through the UK process. I am South African by birth, as you can hear in my accent, but we live here now, and that's how I've qualified. So that's what I can talk about. If anyone wants to know about the process in other countries like the US or South Africa and wherever, give me a shout and I'll do some research into it, ask the people that I know, and then I'll do another video. But today we are in the UK, and you've decided that you want to look at physio. Fantastic. 100% back it. I'm a big fan, obviously. So 3 options, 3 routes into physiotherapy. Ultimately, across all of them, you need a degree, and it needs to be one that can be registered with the HCPC, or the Health Council, Health and Professions Council. I'm blanking on the acronym right now, but the Health and Professions Council, HCPC. So you can go for the straightforward BSc, the bachelor's degree. Now, that's your undergraduate degree that doesn't require you to have previous experience. It doesn't require you to have any other degrees. You can go straight into it from high school. Obviously, there are requirements where you have to meet certain grades to be able to be considered for it, but it is something that you can just do without any other backing or previous history. Okay, it's a 3-year approach, a 3-year degree, shall I say, and you will do 1,000 hours of placements across that. So placements are where you're getting put in different clinical environments. So you'll be in a hospital, you'll be in the community, you might even do a research placement. But over the 3 years, it'll be 1,000 hours of contact time, working full time, and just learning to engage with patients. And other clinicians and MDTs or multidisciplinary teams. So absolutely invaluable time. Wonderful. So bachelor's degree, 3 years, 1,000 hours of placements. Bish bash bosh, you're done. You're qualified. Wonderful. You'll also do a research thesis. You'll do a research project with that in your 3rd year, so bear that in mind. And yeah, great. You're ready to register with Health Professions Council. Get going on work. Get yourself up the career ladder. Wonderful. Second option, also straight into university. However, this is a master's degree. So this is your MSc pre-registration for physiotherapy. Now, that's what I did. And it can be a wonderful option for people, and it just all depends on what suits you best. So the MSc is 2 years. So what they're taking all this wonderful knowledge that you're learning in the 3-year degree and going, so it's hard. It is hard. I would definitely say expect to have a good solid slog for 2 years. It is doable. However, I've done it. I'm here. I survived. Again, you'll do 1,000 hours of placement. And over those 1,000 hours will look different, slightly different than the undergrad though, because you've got a shorter time period, but you'll still do the same amount of hours. with both your undergrads and your MSc, your first placement is going to be an observational one. So you're basically there to just kind of get to grips with the hospital, with the clinical environment, to understand what goes on. And if your educator sees, okay, so this person has got a bit of experience, might want to do a bit more, great. But it tends to be an observational placement to begin with. So yes, that's your master's, 2 years. Also have a research project at the end of it, so keep that in mind, and get out quicker into the field, you're ready to go. But that does require a previous degree. So my undergraduate degree was in psychology. It was a good 9 years before I applied for my master's. So not all universities will accept if your undergraduate degree has been that long ago. They might have a time period of, say, your undergraduate degree has to have been done in the last 5 years. Now, that would differ from university to university, so check that out. But mine was a long time before I started. However, I worked with the NHS for 3 years before I applied. And I had previous experience in the private sector too. So that is something I would highly recommend. Either way, if you want to do a BSc, if you want to do a master's, I would 100% recommend doing some experience in the NHS beforehand. Get an assistant role, a physio assistant role. Just experience what the role has to offer and talk to physios, talk to people in the field, and get an idea. I have picked up a couple of fantastic mentors who have actually helped me and led me, directed me along the way. And I would say it's 100% worth it. So yes, there's the two options if you're going into a full-time degree. So both of those are full-time degrees. You might be able to do a little bit of part-time work here and there, and I would say that I think I did 8 hours a week of part-time work. That was hard though. That was a bit tough, I won't lie. But it is technically possible. You will need loans for those, so you're not getting paid to do those degrees, and essentially the masters and the BSc, you come out with the same qualification, just a different time period. But in the masters, you might likely hear the phrase, well, your master's students find it out. So they may treat you more like autonomous learners in the masters, because they sort of expect a bit of a high level, a bit more critical appraisal, critical thinking from you at the master's level. But yes, you come out the end with essentially the same qualification. It doesn't mean because you've done the master's that you're necessarily going to be able to get a higher salary or anything like that. You come out as a bog standard, just qualified physio. You will get probably straightforward band 5 salary. I say probably, there are always outliers, but probably. Your final option in the UK is to go through the apprenticeship route. Now, I tried to do this, but it's quite a competitive field as far as I know. And yeah, so this is where you're working full-time with the NHS already, and bear in mind full-time, as a band 3 physio assistant. Now, the key things to remember with this are, it's a full-time role, it's at band 3 level, and it's purely physio assistant. So what can happen a lot of the times with the band 3 assistants is it can be a dual role. Now, physio and occupational therapy work so intricately together that it's often within different wards, they put the band 3 role as a dual physio and occupational therapy role. So that's where you're looking at your rehab assistants. Now, I did that. I did that for over a year. It's a great role. It's a fantastic experience. But as far as I know, when you want to do the apprenticeship, you need to be working solely as a physio assistant. Okay. With that, it is a 4-year process, but you do still come out with your degree at the end of it. And you are working full time. So 4 days a week, you are working. 1 day a week, you are studying. That could be going to lectures with other students, which is great. It could be a home study, a self-directed study, whatever is necessary. You may get time during the week as well if you have something coming up. You know, it depends on the ward, it depends on your team, whatever's happening. But yeah, you may get some extra time if you ask. Fantastic option, especially if you know you want to go into that field. So there is a lot that you can do with a physio degree, a lot, and I'll cover that in another video. But we'll use an example of an acute stroke ward. Okay, so if you are working in an acute stroke ward, which basically means when patients have just had their stroke, they come to you after they've been helped, been stabilized. They come to you and you start working on the neurological physiotherapy to try and help them get their movements, get, you know, back to whatever is the goal. I'm going off on a tangent, but say you want to work in neuro. You are absolutely passionate about working with people with stroke, and a band 3 role comes up in the neuro team working with stroke. Fantastic. You get 4 years of excellent experience. And trust me, there is nothing like the experience of being on the floor. Actually working with people on a day-to-day basis, working with teams. You pick up soft skills that you don't necessarily get taught in your degree. You pick up on how to identify changes in body language. You pick up on how to know when to actually say, right, I don't think it's the right day physio for you. You know, that is something that never comes up in my experience, but is so important, because you've got to understand you're trying to build a connection with patients, and it's very difficult sometimes to get people to convince people that physio is worthwhile, because they may be in pain, they may be exhausted, and to try and stand up is just ridiculous to them. But you've got to try and learn how to work with people to encourage them to like meet at their level, to say like this, okay, you want to go and see your grandkids? What do you think if you're sitting up in the chair when they come? How's that sound? And if you're working with people, you learn those things. If you in the feet on the ground, on the wards, in the environment, you learn things like that. So I would say 100% is a wonderful option. And even more so if you know that's the area you want to work in. It might be that you have no clue. And that was me. I had no clue. Even when I left my degree, when I finished, I still thought, I went for a bog standard band 5 rotational role, marvelous. And then I got offered a PhD, but that's another thing. But anyway, even if you're not sure, you'll still get a lot of interpersonal experience, and you'll learn a lot of soft skills. But a lot of your knowledge is going to be based in that team, in that field, because throughout the 4 years, you're working in that field. So it is an incredible option, but just bear in mind that you are with that team from day 1 of your apprenticeship to day 4 years down the line. You are with that team. So your knowledge is going to be based very much around what they do and that particular field. And you obviously do get broad base of knowledge in your degree, in your studying, but your actual experience is going to be very much based in that field. So to sum up all of my ramblings, 3 options into physiotherapy. BSc, 3 years, degree, full-time, no experience, no background needed. You just need to fit the grades and get the application process and all that bloody blah stuff. Option 2, masters. So that is a pre-registration masters in physiotherapy. 2 years, requires a previous degree in a related field. That could vary a little bit. So check with the university. Again, it's full-time. You walk away with proper degree, you are qualified. Marvelous. Option 3, apprenticeship. 4-year process. You're working full-time, working 4 days a week, studying 1 day a week, and it is available to band 3 physiotherapy assistants, and that's all working full-time. Okay, again, check with each area, check on the university requirements, check what trusts are around in your area, and ask your questions. And trust me, even when you are in, if you get in as an assistant, if you're working on placements, whenever you are around physiotherapists, just express your interest, express your passion, and ask. You'll be surprised how many people are so happy to help and to answer questions and to guide you and give you some sort of leadership and mentorship through the process. If you have any questions, feel free to ask me. I'm at the other end of the screen. Pop me a message. I will leave links to like the NHS sites explaining this, and whatever I can find down below, and feel free, just pop me a message if you have any questions or ask down below. And yeah, so next video I think is going to be about writing your application and getting in and actually having the interview process for the physiotherapy degree. Okay, so go ask your questions and just welcome to the field. We're a good bunch of people.